does bring the California legislature in the picture, because the California legislature will soon consider a moratorium on the death penalty, like the one in Illinois.
We can put it in. Signs of injury, these things.
With barely more than a day left before his scheduled execution, lawyers for Stanley Tookie Williams are appealing to the state Supreme Court with what's called a writ habeas corpus. It says an error of constitutional magnitude led
Today, a conversation with death row prisoner Stanley Tookie Williams.
Yes, if I'm alive, I can always strive forward to prove my innocence.
Stanley Tookie Williams will be executed here at San Quentin Prison in just a matter of hours. Perhaps his best hope for a reprieve, California Governor Arnold.
Midnight now, unless Governor Schwarzenegger does spare his life.
Grants clemency to Tookie Williams, that it will be over for him and he will never be elected anywhere.
Carolyn, this is the legal equivalent of a Hail Mary pass. Williams' appeals have already been turned down.
He's been on death row for 24 years, exhausting all of his appeals. He's been turned down by every court, including the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, widely considered
putting him asleep, the second stopping his breathing, and the third stopping his heart. A doctor declares him dead.
We hear rumors. We hear rumors about riots in LA, riots here, riots everywhere. But I can't imagine people rioting in this town, to tell you the truth.
Back up one more time.
I went into this completely neutral. I am not for an execution. I am not against an execution. I am totally neutral. That is up to the lawmakers. I live right outside the gates of San Quentin, and I got a phone call from Fox News. They wanted to rent my garage space, my lawn space, and anything they could put a truck on, and wanted to know if they could use the inside of the house. And I thought, wow, here's my opportunity to film Fox National News and what they do behind the scenes, and why are they invading a teeny village that's only 2 blocks long.
Jim Hammer, outside San Quentin. Jim, thanks a lot.
Okay. No talk about it. Okay. I am if you want, yeah.
Does it surprise you that I would do my own dishes?
Not really.
You would do the same thing too. I'm surprised you're not working
Remaining one of the nation's biggest death row cause celebs in decades. You may have heard a number of celebrities speaking out on our air and on this channel regarding this case. A couple of them have been on today.
What do you think of the atmosphere up here on this? It's kind of strange, isn't it?
Here around San Quentin?
Yeah, where we are now, yeah.
It's ghoulish.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's ghoulish.
I'm waiting for someone to be put to death. Or not put to death. I mean, it's almost weird.
You know, let me just describe the scene a little bit here. There's, you know, probably 200 media ghoulies around,
right.
With their big tall sticks and their, you know, microwave, satellite, everybody's doing and then you contrast it with the gingerbread houses, and then around the corner from us is this breathtaking vista of the bay.
It's beautiful.
Of the San Francisco
Bay.
Bay.
It's a stark contrast.
A lot of times people come through here, and when there is an execution, they've got to find a place to park, and they can't park in the street. Every major station comes to the house, and they come knocking at the door every time. And sometimes, with their schedules, they come early in the morning, and one time I remember that they promised that they wouldn't come in the wee hours. So we were sleeping, and it was about 4:30 in the morning, and I heard this generator going. So I get up and I go outside, and then there's the van parked in our driveway with the motor running, and no one's there. So I just went in the van, and I reached in and I turned the key off to everything, and then went back to bed. And they when the guy got here later, he probably, I don't know what I shut off. He was concerned.
Every time there's an execution, there's a protest. They were pretty well behaved, kind of low key in that they weren't antagonistic.
One time we had 35 news people in our house. More than, one person said it was more than any other time they've ever been together in one house. And you don't want to be in the way of all the news people when they're using the house. And as they say, if you do stay, you can't get out.
We were here for the whole fiasco of Tookie's execution.
He's not in the death watch cell at this time. He is in cell number 1 up on death row.
They called them special event, and they showed their identification. They were from the sheriff's department, and they were very concerned about the safety of the public out here on the night of the execution, and could they use my home for surveillance, undercover surveillance purposes.
The 51-year-old Williams is set to die by lethal injection at San Quentin Prison at 1 minute past midnight. Governor Schwarzenegger had already denied clemency to Williams earlier today. Later this evening, he rejected yet another request from defense attorneys.
I just don't want to stand right up against you. If
Well,
I stand right here, I'm in his light. So I'm asking for a foot.
Well, we've given you what we can give you. And
do you know that NBC paid for this area right through here? And we actually made a deal with them to be here?
Oh, no, I did not know that.
You guys just kind of glommed onto this area.
Well, he's media and I'm media. Why can't I go back to him?
Everybody has a pass to come in. You see the red tags on the shoulders? No, so this man doesn't have one.
Cases go home. You're not welcome here. It's not a modern
I just want a foot. I just don't want to stand up against her, you know, and push her back. I'm just asking for a foot. No, you're not moving. So the Nation of Islam people, who we were being nice, but what pissed me off, what upset me, was that I was being nice to them.
Hell no!
Get your pictures. You need to go back to the light.
I could care less about Tookie Williams' name.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, you should be here to make a stand.
If that was Governor Schwarzenegger in there, who had done the same thing Tookie Williams has done, and has had 25 years, 25 years to prove himself innocent, I'd be here saying Schwarzenegger deserves it.
It's not even a matter of whether he's
May I get back to my
stood in front of the woman.
May I get back to my fellows, or are you still going to prevent me?
And said,
are you still going
those who are without sin cast the first stone. He defended a woman who had broken the law, and she was getting the death penalty.
Anti-gay, right-wing bigots, no way.
The God of the Bible. This is your official Tookie time.
I have been to many protests, often just on my own, but on quite a few occasions with the Gandhi puppet. He is like a press magnet, so I have an opportunity to say whatever I wish to say at the time.
I challenge all of us here to go out and fight back against the destructive forces that are claiming the hearts, minds, and souls of our young people. Let that be the legacy of Tookie Williams and his execution.
Don't put it in my camera shot.
Don't touch my son, okay? Don't touch my son.
Check it out. I came here to pray.
We started because we protect ourselves and we don't have any
Gangbangers are always looking for their shoulders, looking behind the shoulders because they're afraid someone may hurt them. Gangbangers also worry about getting caught by the police for doing bad things like stealing. Many gangbangers are scared.
Problem, man.
He's gonna be a rap.
I mean, dang, man.
All right. I'm good. I'm good.
Listen up, everybody. Let's stay calm. I want you to know, I was with Tookie not too long ago. He talked again. That's the best of America. America has never reached our finest hour. So let's be calm.
Fox, when they were up there harassing the Fox, it's very uncalled for, very unfortunate, because that type of stuff is, I mean, you can tell, you know, you look back at it like you had this tape of it, and we look back at the tape of it, and we're all sitting here looking at how foolish that is. And it just doesn't make any sense. You know, we're trying to do our jobs. And these people out here, they're very passionate about what they feel, what they want to try to accomplish out there.
The first one was very disturbing to me because I'd never experienced it before. I couldn't sleep. I wasn't used to hearing people in the front of my home all night long chanting.
This was Fox News' safe house. My house was their safe house. When they were out there in the storm and the protesters they'd really get revved up. They had their signs and they tried to block the Fox News broadcast going live.
He was hired by a right-wing talk show host.
So they come back to my house, and this is they were coming into the eye of the storm, the quietness. Even though they knew all that was going on out there, all that screaming, yelling, chanting, drums playing, it was way too bizarre. When I was filming behind the scenes of the demonstrations, I'd look through my viewfinder and I noticed that it was like a mirror, that I could see people behind me. And after being shoved and pushed and my camera being ripped from me and I got it back, I was always watching that mirror, looking for who's going to attack me next. And that was my safety valve.
They took a man's life, but they didn't take his spirit.
From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now!
Most strikingly at the end of the execution, as those three were heading out, they yelled, the state of California just killed an innocent man.
A reporter describing the death scene at San Quentin after the state of California executed Stanley Tookie Williams early this morning.
I never would want to do this again, film a demonstration. 6 years later, after the demonstration in 2005, I had this dream. And the dream was scary. It was beyond scary. All these people hated me and they were chasing me around and they hated me and they were trying to get me in jail. And they surrounded me and they put me in a box and all I could see was bars. I was confined to this little space and they locked me up. And it was so terrifying that when I woke up, I just took me a while to calm down, and I went downstairs and wrote my wife a note that I love you.
What's interesting is when it's all over with and it's after midnight in the wee hours, I'll walk up to my front porch and I'll look down the street and it's just quiet and there's the guard is at the front gate and pacing back and forth and
okay, so we,
like nothing ever
we got what we want here. We've got some protesters, we got Jesse, we got Vernell, and we got a lot of hubbub. So, okay, that's it.